Welcome back to IMO, In My Opinion. Thanks for joining us again. I am your moderator today, Dana Swinney Murphy, and I am here with Alicia Cosby, Gina Beavers, and Mildred Montalvo. Today is our back to school show, so we're going to be talking all about school and kids and that type of thing today. And our guest is Sarah Titzo, who is with the Boys and Girls Club on Acorn Street, right, Sarah?
Right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Certainly.
Tell us a little bit about the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, believe it or not, there's two Boys and Girls Clubs in Springfield. Most people think there's just one. There's the one on Carew Street, and then there's our club, which is on Acorn Street. We've actually been around since 1899, so it's not a new organization, but it's gone through some transitions over the years. It was a girls' club for a long time, and back in the 60s, it became a Boys and Girls Club, and we had boys on one side of the building, girls on the other side of the building. So when we have alumni that come back, they love to talk about how, ooh, we weren't allowed over here. This is the boys' side of the building when they get the tour. So it's kind of really a cute story every time they come in and have some real memories to share about the club and the time they spent there. We have about 500 children from Springfield that we serve right now, from the ages of 2.9 all the way up to 18.
2.9. 2.9.
I know it's a funny thing, but it's the starting age for preschool. We do have a full-service preschool, so it's very strange, but 2 years, 9 months, all the way up to 18 years old. So we do service all age groups, from preschool to an after-school program we have for 5 to 12-year-olds. And we also have a teen drop-in program in that neighborhood, especially in Mason Square. It's really important to have a place where teens can spend some quality time, get some guidance from some caring adults, have some structured programs. And particularly helpful is homework help for these kids, having a place to access a computer lab, have some adults who can help guide them through some homework assignments, and access those types of resources outside of school.
Especially during the after-school hours. The block of time.
Crucial time, yeah.
Crucial time.
Yeah.
It is a crucial time. We have certainly found that, and we've been trying to find some new and interesting ways to engage some new teens who from the neighborhood might want to come in and try some of the programs we have to offer.
Now, what are some of those programs? What are some things you can get involved in there?
Well, believe it or not, when you look at the outside of our building, it looks really small. But when you go inside, people are invariably surprised at how large it is. We have a full gymnasium with a stage. So we have lots of basketball games and practices and other groups that use that gymnasium, including Zumba classes.
Yep.
Peggy comes in. And Peggy actually does adult classes twice a week at our club, and she teaches a youth class in trade. So she does come in and teach our kids how to do Zumba, which they love.
They do.
So we also have a full-size pool, almost Olympic-sized pool. So we have swimming classes, which are really important, especially for kids in our urban neighborhoods who may not have access to swim lessons.
It's a life skill.
It is a life skill, and so they really enjoy the pool. The teens in particular are really drawn to the pool. So we do have that. We have, as I mentioned, a full-service computer lab. We have a library. We have a game room. We do mentoring for all ages at the club. We have an art room. We do digital arts as well as manipulative arts. We have, as I was mentioning to Gina earlier, the sneakers that they have downtown. The artist who created those fiberglass molds came to the club this spring, and we purchased a tiger from him, one of the big fiberglass tigers. And the kids had a competition where they got to create designs for the tiger, and it was voted on by the staff. And then the kids painted it.
Oh, how
fun.
fun.
So it really is great. It's in our lobby for everyone who comes in the building to see, and the kids love it. We had to put a big sign on it, please don't sit on the tiger, because they love to sit on the tiger. But it's a really fun piece, and this fall the kids will have an opportunity to name him, and then we'll do a little ceremony to name our new mascot.
Cute. Oh, mascot, literally?
Yes,
oh,
yes.
Cool, okay.
Oh,
that's interesting.
Yes.
I have an idea. Acorn, the mascot.
That's a good idea, Gina.
yeah.
I'll slip it
I like
in the
that.
ballot box.
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
You don't have to pay me for that. Hey,
I was here in the station.
how do kids get referred, or how do they get into the program?
Well, we have a licensed after-school program whereby they're transported directly from school to the club, and they're there and then are often transported home. Sometimes the parents will come pick them up, but the transportation piece is a key piece for a lot of our parents. So we do have that in the after-school program for 5 to 12-year-olds. So that is a constantly growing program as more and more parents are working and are in need of some quality after-school care. So we have that piece, and then we do have relationships with the schools. We go out to the schools and get their guidance counselors and school adjustment counselors to refer kids who may need those services. So it is about developing relationships. We have relationships with organizations like New England Farm Workers and others who are also in the business of referring parents into these kinds of programs.
Are there any requirements at all? Like, do you just have to be a Springfield resident? And
you don't even have to technically be a Springfield resident. As long as we can transport you. We do have one child who is a Springfield resident but attends school through school choice at another town. And she is also transported to the club after school every day. So there are lots of options out there for parents who may be looking for a quality program, because we all want our kids to be in a fun place, a safe place, a place where they're getting something out of it more than just being in a gym and someone throws a basketball at you and says, we'll see you in 2 hours.
Not too enriching.
Not too enriching. That's right, that's right.
But it's very accessible, the fact that that student is also able to participate in programs. Accessibility is key.
It is.
And you have a couple of events coming up as well?
We do. We are trying for the very first time this year, kind of a unique, cool, we hope, special event, and we're calling it Jazz Fantasia. And my whole thought process for this was the Harlem Renaissance. I was a lit major in college, and I took a whole class on the Harlem Renaissance, and I loved it. And for some reason, when we were thinking about new ideas for events, this kept popping up in my head. So I looked up poetry from the Harlem Renaissance and came up with this great Carl Sandburg poem called Jazz Fantasia, which really spoke to the vibe of the event I wanted to have come across. So we pulled that name out of it, and we're really doing this whole come experience the Harlem Renaissance. It's Saturday, November 17th at the Museum of Springfield History, because we thought that was a nice symmetry for an event sort of based on the 20s. Come in your 20s dress. So I expect to see all of you there in your flapper costumes with the hair and everything. Yes. And we're going to have some live music. We're working with a couple of the local high schools to see if we can get their jazz bands to come and play, because I want to incorporate jazz but also kids. I mean, we're all about kids and what we do. So we're working to bring some of the schools in for their jazz groups, and we'll have a great dinner, we'll have an auction. I think we're going to have a 1920s Rolls Royce on site where people can get their photos taken in costume. And much like a cruise ship, that's right, and much like a cruise ship, we will have the photos displayed so you can decide if you want to buy them before you leave.
That's smart. Awesome. Very smart.
Yeah, so we're really excited about that. And so that event, as I said, is November 17th, which is a Saturday, so you have time to get in your costumes. We didn't want to have it on Thursday. Have to go to work in your flapper costume. We have some explaining to do.
Yeah.
So we're doing it on a Saturday from 6 to 10 at the Museum of Springfield History, and there are still some sponsorship opportunities, but they're going fast. People's Bank has actually signed on as our presenting sponsor.
That's
so we're really excited to have them on board.
Can I just say that how exciting it is to be servicing a particular population and then have a gala that represents the history of that population?
And that was sort of that was the point. It was the point.
That's really thoughtful.
There's a lot of galas. There's a lot of dinners and auctions at lots of places across Western Mass. We've all been to countless number of them. That's why I really wanted this to be something special that represented who we are as a group.
Now, if someone who's watching wants to be a sponsor or would like to be a part of the event, what is your website where they can get more information?
Our website is www.bgcafamilycenter.org. BGCA for Boys and Girls Clubs of America, familycenter.org.
Okay, and that'll bring you right to the Springfield Boys
That'll bring us right to our club.
Right, okay.
Yes.
Now, there's something else going on as well? Was there 2 events?
We're still working on a couple of things.
Okay.
We'll be coming out with some information on a few other things, but mostly what we're doing now is really putting out there the programming that we're offering for the kids for the fall. We are doing it in a new way this year. We have essentially set it up like college, where we will have a registration fair at the end of next week, where each of the instructors will have tables set up, and we will be sending paperwork home in advance so that parents can see what our offerings are, from Rad Kids, which is a youth empowerment program, to Torch Club, which is peer-to-peer mediation as well as community service, martial arts, the Business of Art, which is an award-winning art program we created at the club last year. So they'll be able to come in and sit down with each of the instructors, figure out what they want to do, and then they sign up based on the days and when they're available and the times.
Oh, what a great idea.
So that way they really have ownership of what they've chosen to do.
And it actually gets them ready for
Yes.
when they go to college.
Yes.
A bit of the real world.
Real world.
So that registration day, the parents can come in and tour as well?
They
right?
can. Parents are always welcome to come in and tour, absolutely.
What is the date of that?
We're going to do that next Thursday and Friday.
Okay, so if you want more information on that, you can go to the website as well.
bgcafamilycenter.org.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah, for joining us
Thank
today.
you. It was great. Thank you.
We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. This being our back to school issue, we're going to kind of take a different angle and talk about schools in the news. And Delhi Charter School in Louisiana was forcing girls who were suspected, not sure what that means, but suspected of being pregnant, to take pregnancy tests. And this is what they were going to start doing this upcoming school year. It was recently reversed, so they won't be doing that. But there was a lot of controversy around this. And I want to talk a little bit about that, find out what your individual stances are on schools and how pregnancy should be handled.
I think it wasn't fair because I was a pregnant teen in school. So if my teachers or my directors or my parents tell me you can't go to school, I mean, that would be like, besides that I already mess it up. Now you guys are gonna, restrain me for my education. Like now I did it, so it's kind of like that's fair. And hey, and then another thing. What about the guys who got them pregnant? Like really? So we're gonna tell them to get?
Yeah, no, they're fine. They can stay in school.
Yeah,
they're fine. Right.
The education.
Right.
But then us, the girls that have the big bump, we can't be in school. It's not fair.
Right.
It's not fair.
Absolutely.
You know,
No, go ahead.
When I read the story, when I read about it, the first thing I thought of was Title IX. Title IX was educational amendments for any federally funded institution or of any sort cannot discriminate women on the basis of pregnancy, XXX. So I was thinking, this is really this is kind of symptomatic of what is happening in the United States. You're trying to legislate something that is not constitutional. And unless the story comes out, you can get away with it. Do you know what I mean? What if the story did not come out? Then they could, because, we're a charter school, blah, blah, blah. We could discriminate against these girls who become impregnated and not offer them an education. That is constitutionally, again, that's so illegal.
Right, and had the media not picked up on this,
exactly. So it's like how many other
Right.
places in towns and cities that even small pieces of a legislation or a charter or whatever discriminates against girls.
Even as far as having a pregnancy test, if you're pregnant, guess what? It's going to show. I mean, you're going to actually be proven to be pregnant at a certain point in time. But whether they try to set up, okay, we're going to now homeschool you, or we're now going to set up a situation where you can get equal education, and you get into the whole separate but equal thing again. And not only, as a former educator, could I look at everything as a life lesson, as a teachable moment. And just to say, okay, well, you're now relegated out to the abyss somewhere, and hopefully you'll get an education somewhere, is antithetical, because of any of the people who specifically would need to make sure they're being educated are the ones who are at a greater risk of being not only on public assistance, but having, over the course of their life, the likelihood of having less education. And let's just think in a proactive kind of way. Well, how many kids were actually getting pregnant? Is it really worth now saying that if you do, everybody's going to have a pregnancy test?
Right.
I don't see that, let alone the money for it. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me. Another
thing, too, is high school, I think, is just such a fragile age anyway. And for them to say suspected of being pregnant, it's based, I'm guessing, on rumor.
Like
or right. And I would think that
Scarlet lettered.
Exactly. And also, as a high school student, if you do confide in your counselor or your school nurse or your teacher that you're close to that you may be pregnant, or I think it makes kids want, and also it makes kids not want to have those close relationships, because you're afraid that you might be kicked out of school, and that might be your only hope is to finish school.
And that wasn't necessarily just for high school either. That also, from what I read, also might have applied for some colleges as well.
Really? Now, locally, related to pregnancy, Springfield schools are this September going to start distributing condoms to students 12 and older. The first thing when I first read that, I was like, wait a minute, isn't the actual age of consent 16?
16.
So how do you distribute condoms to 12-year-olds when they can't legally consent until 16? So, I mean...
What is the law?
I know.
I think it is 16, isn't it?
I mean literally.
It is really
law versus.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Like,
right?
what? Okay, sarcasm.
It really
a little bit,
took me a
just a
minute.
little bit of sarcasm.
I think the potential mother in me or the would-have-been mother in me really rails against that idea. It's like, how dare you give my child condoms? She's 12 years old or he's 12 years old. What are you talking about? The realist in me says, oh my God, that's so scary that we feel that we have to give 12-year-olds condoms because that means that they truly are sexually active. No matter what a blind eye we turn, it's real.
And it's not even necessarily that every single 12-year-old in every single middle school is actually going out and having sex, okay? But the way it was worded, in my understanding, was that if a child wants to come in and the parent has signed off that they are allowed to distribute, it's not like there's a big basket of condoms on every teacher's corner of their desk. Here's your apple. Here's the basket of condoms. No, they have to go into the nurse's office. And with that, they would also get, prayerfully of course, they would also, is supposed to get information about not only safer sexual practices, but also abstinence and other pieces of information as well, so that they're getting more of an informed consent. But then the mother of 4 in me says, you know what, that's not really something that I want to conceive of. You know,
I can't even wrap my mind around taking a 12-year-old and saying, well, she's going to have sex.
But I also, but
isn't
you know
that a job? Isn't as a parent? Isn't that your job as a parent
I think there's a
to have that conversation and to give your child condoms when they're ready, as you know, as their parents, right?
And to feel like your children can have an open door of communication.
Yeah,
because you're like 12, why you would want to have sex?
Because our system. Oh no, come on, hold on a second. Hold on a second. While we are talking about that, let's look at the broader picture. And people say, oh, 12-year-olds shouldn't be, but you know what? We over-sexualize our children. We expose them more now than ever to a bombardment. You can't even go to some Disney websites or to type in Disney without getting pornography. I mean, we are truly overexposed at this age. So while the optimist, the forever, let's all have peace and harmony in me says that should never be the case, it does for some people. And Springfield, and you know, some of our urban communities have a really high birth rate of younger girls, and younger and younger.
In Springfield, we're the number 4 highest.
Yeah, in teen pregnancy, I saw that
and
as well.
And technically, that's not even just, I'm going to say this too, it's not even just like, oh, that's just an urban city problem, because it's not.
It's not. No.
It happens in the suburbs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it seems as though it's on the rise in general. I mean, I don't know the actual statistic, but not just in Springfield, but in general, it kind of seems like it's more socially acceptable too.
And your time was like last week. Your time was like 30 years ago. It's like, I think there were like 2 pregnant girls that I knew, and it was like.
Yeah.
Well, and they went off somewhere, and they just came back with a little cousin.
I know, right?
And also in that time, it was very, like, it wasn't cool. It wasn't, like, it was very shunned, and it was, and now it's
I don't even know if it's, I don't know if it's more socially acceptable, but there are like the Teen Moms shows. But even with those, you know,
it is glamorized.
Okay, so is the answer here to just homeschool your kids? Don't worry about school handing them condoms. Don't worry about
handing around kids all day, not get paid. No, I'm kidding.
Well, homeschooling is definitely on the rise, both locally and nationally. There's definitely pros and cons to it. I personally know a few people who do homeschool. One of the issues with homeschooling, though, is finding time as a parent for yourself. So, because if you're homeschooling your child, it kind of becomes a 24-hour thing, because it's not just, when you're homeschooling, it's not just what's in the book. It's making a lesson out of everything.
Which we should be doing as parents anyway.
Absolutely, yeah. So we definitely like to, as always, know your thoughts on the topics that we have today. So please go to our Facebook page and let us know your thoughts. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back to IMO, In My Opinion. We were just discussing Beloit College's Mindset List. They come out with this list every year. And this list is for students who will be graduating college in 2016. And this is a list of things that they are not aware of. And it's quite interesting. One of the things, a lot of them actually have to do with technology.
Yes, that makes sense.
One of the ones that I found most interesting was that they rarely watch TV on TV.
See, I'm going to argue that, because I know kids that watch tons of TV in front of a television.
Yeah,
so
I agree with you. I have a
problem with this list, I have to be honest, because any kid that has a parent is aware of a lot of that stuff. And a lot of kids would never even have reason to be aware of that stuff.
Right, and also, I'm not a part of the class of 2016.
You're not?
I'm not.
Are you serious?
I could pass maybe, but I'm not. But some of these things on here are kind of news to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you a couple of them that I thought were kind of funny, interesting if you think about it, because I do have one that's entering, and she is the class of 2016. And so I grew up with a ticket. When you go to the airplane and you're at the airport, you guard that ticket in its little envelope, the little thing with your life.
I remember that.
Now it's paperless tickets, you know, just electronic check-in. So that one I thought was kind of funny. But also there was one about Robert De Niro.
Oh.
And that Robert De Niro, because, you know, we've watched like Meet the
Mr.
Parents and the
Fokker.
Fockers. That's their, you know, Robert De
their
Niro
connection to him.
versus,
Right.
you know, Vito Corleone.
But
Yeah.
see, I
Right?
can't
But-
imagine that no 16-year-old or 20-whatever-year-old hasn't seen The Godfather.
We have
I mean,
cable.
this is like a
Yeah, some things are
gigantic
classic.
cultural,
Right.
And retro TV too, actually,
Right, I
because
mean-
you have like old Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah, it's like you see
Nick
right
at
Yeah,
Night,
Nick
which
at
has all that
Night,
stuff,
all those
yeah.
great things.
Right.
Cartoon Network, they have their like retro cartoons. So I'm like even seeing things that I wasn't.
Yeah, I'm
a
sorry
kid.
that I feel negative about this list. I didn't realize I did. And I really didn't realize
You
it
have some
until I-
emotions.
Yeah, I have some emotions about it because it's kind of like the assumptions here are really ridiculous, some of them. Some of them are legitimate, but also if you have lived in the last 18 years, science and technology has progressed so rapidly, some stuff I don't remember. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like I hardly remember what it was like not to hear the sound of a fax. Do you know what I mean?
I never thought about
Yeah,
that, but
you know,
I guess
it's kinda
so.
like, oh, there was a time when faxes.
Or even just connecting to the internet. You got that.
Exactly. Yeah, the
That- right.
Dial-up thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
time
that was
has moved
horrible.
so quickly that that's stuff that I don't even remember. So it's kind of like those are things that are passed on. I mean, when I was a kid, my dad and mother called it the ice box.
Oh, the refrigerator?
Oh,
Yeah.
the fridge, okay.
So it's like, so I know what an ice box is.
Yeah, right.
Just,
even
you
though
know,
that's not
even
from
though
your
we didn't have
generation,
it.
right?
Yeah, it depends
Yeah.
on the parents and the family.
Yeah, so these guys, I'm going to write them.
But they're
Well,
going
if
to
you
keep
want
doing
to
it.
check
Yeah,
out
keep
the
on moving
list, the list is, you can find it, the original one at beloit.edu, and they have their list from past years on there as well. So going off to college, you also have to teach your kids about finances and spending. And one of the things in researching for today's show I found is Hispanics are spending more and becoming more a focal point, a source for marketing and advertising campaigns.
Makes sense.
Really
Fastest
interesting.
growing
Ethnic
minority
group.
in America.
We're growing like
Latina.
cucarachas.
We're
Going all over the
credit
place.
cards.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. It's awesome to see that, you know, the Latinos over here are doing a wonderful job. And there's a lot in tons. There's millions. There's 50.5 million Latinos in here. I'm like, oh my God, there's more in my own country. It's crazy, but it's really awesome to see that they're doing a lot. And a lot of them are taking over American marketing too. So now they are inviting Latinos. Like Sofia Vergara, she's like everywhere now.
She's
Yeah.
everywhere. She
Yeah.
endorses a lot of
She
stuff.
is like the best
She's-
paying actor.
What is she
She's like a modern shadow.
She's
know what
on
she
she's on
does.
Modern Family. She's on
seen it.
sitcom.
awesome.
Also
I do like
TV
the
too.
personality,
There's a lot more Latinos on TV.
There is.
Yeah.
It's the accent, the funny accent that we have.
You know what? Latino, okay, here I go again. Latino population in 2012 is the black population in the 80s and 90s.
Yes.
It was a sexy population.
Yeah.
Oh, let's push them forward and make them look like, oh, they have real lives and everything. Asians never really got there.
They're on their way though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
the way-
getting there. But Latinos, they're right here and right now. That's the sexy group. And so that money is coming.
Speaking of sexy, on the cover of the current Western Mass Women's Magazine
What a
issue,
segue.
I try, is Miss Gina Beavers. That's our current issue.
It's my twin.
And that's on newsstands now, so definitely pick that up. We have the new issue coming out in just a few weeks, and we're really excited about the new issue as well.
yeah,
It's going to be our top 25 women to watch in Western Mass issue, and on our cover you will see all 25 of our winners. This is an issue that we look forward to all year, and we have a really good group of women this year, so we're excited about that. Our professional woman of the year is Kate Kane. And our volunteer woman of the year is Jacqueline Williams-Hines, both very well deserved.
Absolutely.
Yeah, to those women. And our event's going to be October 11th, and we will have more information on that coming up. We will all be there, and we hope you will all be there as well. So Facebook, we have a big contest going on. Have you guys seen that yet?
Yeah, we do.
We have a big Facebook contest coming up for Western Mass Women's Magazine and IMO. And if you go to both of the Facebook pages and put a picture of yourself with a copy of Western Mass Women magazine, you can be doing whatever you want, posing however you want.
Not toilet paper.
Yeah. And you can win a $50 Pride gift card for for posting your picture. So please do so. Any events that you guys are aware of coming up?
Coming up soon in 2 months actually, but get ready, girls, because we have the best night out for the girls, which is a big hair show. It's the 4th annual for Latina & Co. hairdresser. They're doing this amazing hair show. It's kind of like new, right? Yes.
I know exactly.
And it's like crazy New York style. The choreography, the girls, and everything is an amazing event. It's going to be actually taking place in Hippodrome. So be aware, I'm hosting over there, so go in and support us. So check us out.
Well, on the music front, WEIB 106.3 Smooth FM is bringing in jazz trumpeter Joey Somerville. That's going to be taking place on Friday, August 31st, kind of like your kickoff to the pre-Labor Day weekend, so that's going to be a blast. You can check out the Facebook page as well.
And in arts, the only thing I can really think of is that the Springfield Cultural Council's grant cycle is coming up for 2013.
Important.
Springfield Cultural Council is a local entity of Mass Cultural Council. Each town has its own council, but in Springfield, ours is coming up. So check online, springfieldculturalcouncil.org. We'll have stuff up by September 1.
Great, so we have lots of good things coming up. We are also looking for a new host, a new co-host for IMO. So if that's something that you think you might be great at and you'd like to join us here at the table, definitely get in contact with us at info@westernmasswomen.com, and we would love to talk to you and hopefully have you join us. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you next time.